The broth has been boiling about 6 hours combined between the starter few hours yesterday when it was going to be pulled chicken to today when I've turned it into chicken stock. I added water up to about 4 quarts and it's down to about half. What I'm going to do next is strain it. Use a fine sieve if you got it. I've got this pasta strainer here. It's going to do the job just fine. And once you get everything out of the pot, go ahead and mush down the contents. Not that you're pushing it through the holes, but just that you're going to have some excess liquid that is trapped down into the vegetables. And why not just kind of squeeze that goodness out into the pot? Let it drip for a few minutes just to get all you can. And from this step, I could put an ice bath around the pot, fill the sink up with water, and let it come down to room temp. But instead, I'm actually going to put this back on the burner. All right, remember earlier I told you I'll skip the depremier step or the skimming step, because once I brought it back up, I didn't see much fat. Now I've strained it, and let me see if you can see it, but you can see that shinier layer here versus this clearer layer here. That's fat. That's more fat. That's more grease. That's more oil that has risen to the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to skim that fat, because you don't want that. You don't want that in your food, okay? A paper towel would do just the same, but just skim that layer of fat out of your food. It makes a difference. You don't want your fat. You don't want that, okay? Also would help getting rid of some of the grease of the oil is when you strain it, use coffee filters and a finer mesh. I don't have the finer mesh or the coffee filters because we're a modern house and we got to cure it. So coffee filters, a paper towel, something like that will get rid of this last little residual layers of fat that you have to deal with, okay? Because you can see I've gotten most of it, but I can still see some lines of it, and it'll continue to come up because I'm going to cook this way down almost to a chicken base like. I started off with, I think, almost a gallon of water, stock, bones, all of that other stuff. And I know we're down to, looks like about a quart. And once it cools off, I want it to be like a nice chicken jelly, chicken base like. I'm going to actually flavor this also. I'm going to add some celery seed, some onion powder, things like that to it. Just because I want a nice big dollop of chicken flavor when I use it. I'm going to use it in sauces. I'm going to probably use it on vegetables and things like that once I get it cooked down to the base level that I want it at. So this is going to reduce slowly. I'm not rolling boiling, even though at this point what I want to do to it, the clarity doesn't matter. But for the sake of even, I just don't want, doesn't matter. I like it clear. I like it pretty. Even my jelly is going to be as clear. The one thing that I do kind of find hard doing, especially working with dried herbs when making a homemade stock or a broth, is getting a nice flavor in it without making it grassy. And again, without some of the color leaching out. That color issue for me is a thing. I don't want green in my stock either because I use dried parsley. So in here, now that I've got it reduced down from a gallon to about a quart, I'm adding some oregano dried, dried thyme, some onion powder. I'm gonna grab some celery seed here, and I'm actually gonna let this just sit on top like tea. I'm gonna let these dried herbs seep, and also while and let my pot come down from that rolling hot of 212 that it's been simmering at. That way the flavor kind of gets in there and I get a nice herbaceous layer. So some chopped rosemary, thyme, oregano. I'm gonna add onion powder, some garlic powder, and I do have paper towels. So I'm actually going to strain this last little bit out because I've worked very hard. I'm having it clear and clean, and I'm going to use some paper towels when I strain my jelly so that I don't have all these bits of herbs and these bits of seeds in it, because again, clarity is the issue. I'm using this as a sauce base. I'm going to be using it over and over, so I don't want pieces of dried oregano or dried parsley just floating around, and especially again if I want to do something clear. So I'm going to let this seep. Let it do its thing, come back maybe 20-30 minutes, strain it all out through a coffee filter and a funnel, because I mean, we started at a gallon. I am definitely down to a quart now, and it'll be chicken jelly in the morning when it's cool. The final step in the chicken gel or stock or whatever is the cooling process, and even at home, food safety is important. You don't want to put a hot broth, hot stock directly in your refrigerator. So after adding the ice, then people, you're going to see me pull out salt. What is the purpose of salt? Well, salt actually drops the freezing point of ice. So by adding a little salt to the water, I've actually dropped the temperature of the water so that it will cool off my broth a little faster. The next part of the setup, I just a funnel and a paper towel, simple brownie. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently ladle it in. I'm not going to pour too heavy, number one, because that first ladle is going to just saturate the towel a little bit, and the broth won't start running directly through. But after a few good ladles and taking your time, it should work. It should work just like the coffee filter. Don't worry, these are brownie paper towels. They don't give off fiber like that. So if that's one thing you're concerned about, contaminants of fiber, just like coffee filters, paper towels, the right paper towels, good paper towel can work just like the coffee filter. These aren't those fancy linen paper towels, but just regular brownie paper towels will do. Just like when you were straining the meat and mirepoix this time, I do want you to move those herbs, but don't push down. You don't want to break the paper towel. It's just a gentle moving it up the sides of the paper towel. And then after you get done, get all the broth through, roll up the paper towel like it's a tea bag, and give it a nice good squeeze, and get those last final juices on out. Place the ice in the ice bath, and then let it drop to a food safety 41 degrees before you stick it in your refrigerator. Okay? All right, good morning, everyone. I have just pulled my chicken jelly out of the bath. I ice bathed it and went to bed, but I want to show you about how gelatinous I get that. I got it all the way down to 2 cups. So that gallon is now 1 gelatinous puck of chicken goodness. And what I'll use it for, again, is I could add 3.5 quarts of water back to this, and it is now soup base again. I can spoon this out as necessary as chicken flavor, but it doesn't take up the same space as a gallon. And voila, it's a loaded ball of chicken flavor. I didn't dump it out because I wanted you guys to see how shiny that is, how clear that is, not too many impurities. And once it hits the pan, it's going to turn into it's already coming up to temp a little bit. It's going to turn into chicken goodness. Now let me clean up my mess because I'm making a mess for you guys.